friends. I have a few more books for you today. Ooh. This one is called Be Kind. It's by Pat Zetlow Miller, and it's illustrated by Jen Hill. And the back says, How 2 simple words can change the world. Tanisha spilled grape juice yesterday. All over her new dress. Everyone laughed. I almost did too, but my mom always tells me to be kind. So I tried. I don't think it works. I don't think it worked. I said, purple is my favorite color. I thought Tanisha would smile, but she ran into the hall instead. When she came back, snack time was over. She put on her art smock and didn't look at anyone. I almost told Tanisha that art was my favorite class, but I didn't want her to leave again. So I painted purple splotches and added some green until I had a bunch of beautiful violets. While I painted, I thought about Tanisha. Should I have handed her my napkin? Let her borrow my sweatshirt? Spilled my juice so everyone stared at me instead? What does it mean to be kind anyway? Maybe it's giving. Making cookies for Mr. Rinaldi who lives alone. Letting someone with smaller feet have my too tight shoes. He might win races in them too. Maybe it's helping. Putting dirty dishes in the sink. Cleaning up after Otis, our class guinea pig. He's a messy eater. Maybe it's paying attention, telling Desmond I like his blue boots, asking the new girl to be my partner, listening to Aunt Franny's stories, even the ones that I've heard before. Being kind should be easy, like throwing away a wrapper, or recycling a bottle, or saying thank you, or bless you. Hey, Kaya. What's new, Omar? Good afternoon, Rabbi Mendelbaum. My mom says it's the quickest way to be kind is to use people's names. Being kind can be hard too. Even when you know what to do, teaching someone something I'm good at is tricky. Even when I'm patient. And sticking up for someone when other kids aren't kind is really hard and can be scary. Maybe I can't solve Tanisha's grape juice problem. Maybe all I can do is sit by her in art class and paint this picture for her because I know she likes purple too. Maybe I can only do small things, but my small things might join small things that other people do. And together, they could grow into something big. Something really big. So big that all our kindness spill out of our school, spread throughout town, travel across the country, and go all the way around the world. Right back to Tanisha and me, so we can be kind again and again. And again. Sometimes our little acts of kindness can make a big difference to people. Something as simple as helping your friends pick up things that they've dropped, or painting them a special picture, or saying hi to our neighbors, or helping someone who's lost, or helping someone find something. And all of those add up to big kindnesses. This one's called Grow. It's by Joanne Early Mackin, and it's illustrated by Stephanie Pfizer Coleman. Grow. If you were an acorn, you'd swing from a stout twig, snug inside a hard brown shell, bristled cap on your head. One day, you'd drop to the leafy floor. Slowly, you'd crack your jacket, then bit by bit, year after year, you'd stretch roots into soil and trunk and limbs into sky. You'd be an oak tree, reaching lobed leaves toward the sunlight. If you were a caterpillar, you'd inch over milkweed, munching, stripes blending in with shadows and stems, shedding your skin when it grew too tight. Here's a cocoon. Whoop. Sometimes it's called a chrysalis, and that is where butterflies come from. You'd button yourself to a leaf, molt one last time, and wriggle into a blue-green chrysalis. There's that word. And there's the picture. After a while, you'd pop out, unfold orange wings, and flutter from flower to flower. You'd be a monarch butterfly, sipping sweet nectar from wind-blown blooms. If you were a tadpole, you'd swish and dart in a mossy pond, beneath murky water, through gills and slick skin, nibble on green water weeds. Gradually, you'd grow legs, back and front. They'd lengthen and strengthen. Your tail would shrink. One day, breathing air into lungs, you'd crawl onto land, hop after prey, and snatch it with your long, sticky tongue. You'd be a leopard frog, leaping through rustling weeds. If you were a hatchling, you'd climb up through soft sandy soil, scurry past long-legged wading birds, and burrow into a muddy stream bed. Your shell would protect your head, legs, and tail, growing larger each year, shedding old scutes as new ones formed underneath. On warm days, you'd bask on a sunlit log. You'd be a painted turtle, plopping into a rippling pond. If you were a duckling, you'd waddle to water, following your mother and sisters and brothers, all downy fluff, flapping and peeping and pecking. Over the summer, you'd trade down for feathers. You'd forage in foliage, dabble appended, learn how to fly and flap to the sky. You come fall, you'd join a flock winging south. You'd be a mallard duck migrating over cities and farms. If you were a fawn, you'd rest among ferns and soft grasses, hidden in the dappled sunlight, speckled, shy, and waiting. You'd stand on spindly legs. First, you'd wobble. Later, lankier, you'd sprint and then spring. You'd wander on trails through forest and field, leaving heart-shaped tracks as you browsed. You'd be a white-tailed deer bounding along roadsides and riverbanks. When you were a baby, snug in a blanket, you gazed at the world, bright eyes opened wide. Holding onto a finger with your whole tiny hand, you babbled and cooed, you listened and learned. Now look at you. Look at all you can do. Splash in the shallows like turtles and ducks. Search for an acorn, a tadpole, a butterfly. Leave your deer footprints wherever you go. You are the only true you, unlike any other in this whole dazzling world. You're finding your own way to grow. That is so true, friend. There is only one you and one me in the whole entire world. We're all unique and we're all different, and that's okay. This book is called In My Garden. It's by Charlotte Zolotow, and it's illustrated by Philip Steed. Here's the first picture. In the spring, what I love best in my garden are the birds building nests. Of course, there are other things I love in my garden. Red tulips like a patch of fire under the pear tree. Violets and hyacinths and daffodils. But in the spring, what I love best in my garden are the birds building nests. In the spring, what I love most to do is fly kites. Of course, there are other things I love to do, play dolls and roller skate and skip rope. But what I love most to do in spring is fly kites high over the garden wall. In the summer, what I love best in my garden are roses. Of course, there are other flowers I love too, marigolds and daisies and Canterbury bells. But in the summer, what I love best in my garden are roses, red ones and yellow and white. In the summer, what I love most to do is have lunch under the pear tree. Of course, there are other things I love in summer. Listening to the birds singing in the trees, lying in the tall grass, watching the butterflies, and swimming in the cool stream. But in the summer, what I love most to do is have lunch under the pear tree. In the fall, what I love best in my garden are chrysanthemums. Of course, there are other things I love in my garden. The trees turning red and golden brown, the wild wind blowing, and the squirrels gathering nuts. But what I love best are the chrysanthemums, tangled and shaggy and smelling like spice. In the fall, what I love most to do is rake leaves. Of course, there are other things I like to do in the fall: buy new sneakers and skirts and pencil boxes for school, and pick the ripe golden pears from my tree. But what I love most to do in the fall is rake leaves and jump in the big, crackly, golden pile of them. In the winter, what I love best in my garden is snow. Little bumps and humps sparkling everywhere you go. Of course, there are other things I love in the wintertime. The purple sunsets and the moon rising early, and the pine tree with its branches heavy and white. But in the winter, what I love best in my garden is the snow, clean and white and still. In the winter, what I love most to do is ice skate on the pond. Of course, there are other things I love to do in the winter: make snow angels, coast on my sled, and watch the black shadow of the pear tree in the snow. But what I love most to do in winter is skate on the frozen pond. And feel the whiteness and wind and winter all around. She talked a lot about her garden and what she loves, and some of the things she mentioned I also love. I have a small garden and I have chrysanthemums, and I have fruit trees a little further away on our farm. I hope that you find something to grow, like in the book Grow. We're all changing and growing, and we should work toward kindness for others. And I hope that somewhere you find a spot, even if it's a little small pot, to grow a plant and experience the changes that nature brings. I hope you have a great spring and a great day. Bye, friends.